All right. So, no trailer today, but we do have some new images that I'm really excited to look through. These are going to be kind of a surprise for me because I downloaded them, but I didn't really look at them. And the Wheel of Time just released photos of Tanchico and some new characters. So, let's look at this Nerdist article here first. So I want to get into what it says about these images first before we dive deep into them, but Nerdist writes, Amy Ratcliffe, a massive statue of a stone man, arms bound, kneels by the water. Vendors sell wares on rickety appearing docks with thatched coverings. Paths wind between the stalls, seemingly never ending. The docks of the coastal city of Tanchico in the Wheel of Time have a sense of haphazard sturdiness and a sense of danger. At nighttime, when the moonlight flickers, torches cast moody shadows over the set, one feels as though anything can happen. Tanchico, the capital of Terabon, will feature in the Wheel of Time Season 3, and Nerdist has a first look at the richly detailed set. We also joined two other outlets on set and toured Tanchico with production designer Andre Nekvasil. Ooh, shout out to Andre. Okay. Friend of the show, if you are actually interested in set design and all that stuff, I've had him on my channel twice. He is a wonderful man with incredible insights. So it goes on to talk about the importance of Tanchico in the Wheel of Time. Doesn't really get into any spoilers here. It says it may be one of the oldest cities in the world, old architecture from the Age of Legends. An assembly of lords elect a king and panarch to jointly rule Terabon. Both the king and the panarch call Tanchico home. So, okay, the king and panarch situation is a bit more complex than that, but they're keeping it light, which is probably a good thing. Bustling city in the Wheel of Time, Tanchico is spread over steep hills with three peninsulas reaching into the Tanchico Bay. The city was once a place of wealth and success. Now its sheen is a mere facade. Structures crumbling. Okay, there's a lot of mention of thieves, cutthroats, the docks, which the docks is very important in the books because also spoilers for the Shadow Rising. I'm not going to get into huge spoilers, but they do end up in Tanchico with other characters. The docks is kind of important because in the books, we have another group of people in Tanchico with our main characters, Nynaeve and Elaine. So Bill Doman comes in and he's kind of running assist, like him and his thug, not thugs, but his sailors, they're kind of thugs. They create a riot as a distraction at one point in the book so that the girls can make it out unscathed. But yeah, they're kind of talking about it being a rough city and more about the set design. I do like here it says we see Min, Matt, Elaine, and Nynaeve. All of them, even Matt, appear to be wearing traditional Terabon attire with veils over their face. We're very curious to learn what they're up to on the streets of Tanchico. I have big thoughts about Matt here. I can't, I cannot wait to talk more about this because, there's something very funny going on in my head. Okay, let's keep going. Wheel of Time also filmed the interior of Tanchico on the stages of Prague, though they shipped the doors and other key pieces from that set to Cape Town from Prague. Oh, interesting. So this was shot in dual cities. Moving things from Prague to Africa is quite that's a monumental feat that couldn't have been easy at all. It goes on to talk about Andre Nekvasil some more. He cited Zanzibar as an influence both on the docks and the city gate. You can see the inspiration from Zanzibar's old fort in the walls around through the city. These sets look great. Yeah. So the docks, they're saying the goal was to get up and close, and the Wheel of Time wanted Tanchico to feel really crowded and dangerous. And I mean, it almost looks claustrophobic in my opinion, but like in a good way, like bustling, busy, lots of wear and tear, very aged. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't look brand new, like they just constructed a set and everything's sparkly and shiny and hasn't been used. I do really like that. It was kind of the same thing with Breen Spring and in season one where like it had that really rough around the edges lived in quality to it. So yeah, it's talking about in order for them to make it look that way, they had to go through and sandblast everything, which I mean that's it. Hey, if that works, that's a great way to do it. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with a close up on these images, shall we? All right. So this was the one that I was really excited to get to. Like obviously the first thing when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, Elaine's got her veil on." And if you remember from the books, she has these really funny moments where Elaine has a lot of problems with her veil and it was kind of an inside joke. Like she keeps choking on her veil and the joke is like, her nose is upturned. Like I'm better than everyone else, head held high. So she continuously like keeps coughing her veil out of her mouth. So that was the cute like first thing that I noticed from this image. Also, like everyone looks great, but I I have to wonder here, is Matt in drag? Like, I mean, I know that we've seen this video or these images of him last week where we got to see him in this, fabulous outfit. But him with the veil over his face, I thought that was just something that only the woman wore. And so Matt wearing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, is Matt in drag? Like, is he traveling with Nynaeve, Elaine, and Min as a woman? Because if so, that would be absolutely hilarious. And I love it. I mean, the veil, like, it looks shimmery. Like, it's like sparkly. I don't know. I mean, it almost looks like he's wearing like a smock where it almost feels like a dress in front. I don't know what to think about this. Like also, like what is this guy selling? Balls of like hemp or like rope or twine? And what does he have here in his other hand? It almost looks like dynamite, which I don't think that it's dynamite, but and here up to the in the background here, you can see what looks like skulls hanging in this stand back here. I'm really enjoying this a lot. Like this feels a lot different than Falm. It's just got this really compact busy feeling. But yeah, like Min's got the belt knife. I have to wonder if they're kind of Min is this big question mark for me. I don't know exactly how they are going to pull her in on this quest. I'm assuming since Matt's there, it has to be kind of like a situation where she's trying to redeem herself for what Ishamael got her into, the way he manipulated her. And, you can't really say no to one of the Forsaken. Like we saw that with Leandrin earlier last season. And it kind of feels like Min's got a lot of amends to make. So maybe she's just there because Matt's there and she wants to help. A lot of the things that happened last season with Matt was because of her, because of Ishamael using her. So I could assume she's wanting to be there to just right her wrongs in a way. I love looking at Elaine in this outfit here to the back of Matt. She looks great. I do notice a lot of the men have their eyes covered with a veil, but it's not like this long thing like Matt's wearing, which this is just, I don't know, it's fun, it's interesting. I I would love if they put Donald Finn in drag. I hope that it's it. I hope that's it. If someone's mad at me, I don't care. I think that would be hilarious and I love it. So let's look at the next image. Okay, so we've got Nynaeve. We've got this same guy kind of selling, I don't know, like spools of twine, hemp, rope, I don't know, whatever it is. A lot of these things in the background here, like, is this guy holding like intestines? Is that what it is? Because I love how each scene is getting like grittier and more like chaotic. Like, this dude's just holding up some intestines from a slaughtered animal, which that is a choice. Man, I'm loving how we also see a lot of this, like these kind of like dry, like grass reed roofs, which is really interesting. I've noticed that Andre has definitely, like, when you're doing the architecture of a city, you're looking at what resources they would have readily available, and that's how you start fleshing out what it's going to look like. And I'm loving catching little things like that. This is just, it's really interesting the way that, Nynaeve's face is covered with this. It almost looks like a lace type, like almost crocheted type fabric, which she's looking really stressed out or on a mission. I can't tell because her eyes are covered. But yeah, this is just cool. Like, there's a lot of fog. I'm really interested here on what's going on, like far off to the back, where like behind the guy holding the intestines with like the bloody hand, there's a lot of these like almost like a bowler style hat in the background. So the scene that we saw with Matt, or not a scene, this image that we saw of Matt with the released images, there's that guy with the hat. I don't know if either of these men are that man, but what it looks like to me is that this style hat from the image from last week is something that is very common here. Like, that would be something in the fashion of Tanchico. So maybe this isn't the hat that Matt gets per se. My new theory is that Matt doesn't get the hat from that guy in the image, but because we're in this town where it looks like all of these men are wearing similar style hats, I'm going to guess that Matt does come to Tanchico and he gets his famous hat here. I'm not sure if it's the guy from the image, but my assumption is he's going to find one that's maybe a little bit more in line with, I would say, how some of the fan art depicts it, maybe a bigger brim and not so, like these guys kind of look like dandies. And Matt's hat to me felt a little bit more Americana. So yeah, we'll have to see about that. This person behind the intestines, I have no idea what they are wearing on their head. It is like an entire golden, it almost looks like a helmet. Their belly is hanging out, which is wonderful. But all of this, like, it looks like pink almost lace, like frills on top of this helmet. This is just also interesting. I'm really, really liking this. Nynaeve looks great. We already saw her in this image. I like that she's got her little satchel here. I would assume she's got her wisdom stuff in there. And I love how she's got a clenched fist. So, Nynaeve didn't come to play, you guys. Nynaeve is authentically always ready to sock someone in the face. So let's look at this next image because this is really, I don't know what to make of this. There's so much going on. So obviously we're at the docks. We've got this big stone statue front and center. Why is this woman covered in blood? And is she holding a child? It looks like a baby. Did she just give birth? I would assume she just gave birth, considering where the blood stains on her dress is. But why is she there? Why is she on display like this? Is this statue, almost some type of religious ceremony, like the blessing of a new child. I'm perplexed here. But okay, also another thing to zoom in on this image, hats, 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 so many hats. Yeah, this is definitely where Matt's gonna get his hat. Definitely. And I'm seeing men wear a lot more of these face coverings, so maybe Matt isn't in drag, but none of these men are wearing bedazzled face coverings, so maybe Matt is in drag. God, I hope he is. These are just very cool. So, okay, this has to be the docs. What was written in the article? Again, we've got these same structured type buildings. I love the warm lighting back here. It feels really good. Visually, I'm really enjoying this. The extras, I mean, okay, this is something that I've noticed with all of the press that we've gotten for season 3. We have so many extras this season. Like, obviously, if you just look at this image as a whole, how many people are in this image? And they are dressing, they're doing costume design for all of these people, even if they're just in the background for a few minutes, right? So you're dressing all of them. And then last week we saw some of these images of the Aiel in the trailer. We saw a gaggle of Aiel, like a lot of Aiel at what I'm assuming is Al Dal. It's becoming very obvious just how many extras they are dressing in season 3, which makes me have to assume that they are on a very strict, tight budget with how much they're making. And this is a huge feat. So shout out to Sharon Gillum. This is just so much, so many people. Even our main characters look like they have multiple wardrobe changes. And, we got to see more gays and Elida and stuff like that. So this is just, I'm really loving this. I do really, really love how set design plays a role in television, whether it's, fantasy or sci-fi. And I just think, given what the Wheel of Time's budget is in comparison to something like A House of the Dragon or The Rings of Power, we're looking at something that is just, they're doing a lot for a lot less. And shout out to everyone. I spoke with Sharon not too long ago, and I'm really excited. We're going to have her back on the channel, I think, sometime, maybe during the season or after the season. But this is just really exciting stuff. Now, we've got a boat here. We've got a lot of people kind of hanging out, eating, it looks like, maybe gambling, maybe. Oh, Matt's going to have a field day here. Matt's going to be like a kid in a candy store in Tanchico. I just feel like he's going to be running rampant for, Dyson, maybe buying hats or trading hats. Okay, new theory. I think Matt's going to gamble and he's going to win the hat off of someone. That's my prediction. Lock it in. Yeah, there's just, a lot of strong-armed, muscly, tough looking dudes in Tanchico, and I'm a big fan. Someone has a theory about what this woman is doing holding a baby here covered in blood. I would love to know. I kind of just browsed over that Nerdist article, so maybe I missed something. But, like, I'm not trying to make this video super duper long. So let's get into this next image here. And this is interesting. So something that kind of struck me here while looking at this new image is, first off, the character in front of this man who's standing on the staircase, below him, the paisley kind of looks like the same paisley on Matt's like smock type thing. I don't know if that is Matt, but it could be. It could be. It looks like he's got nail polish on. Can we see in this other image of Matt if he's wearing nail polish? No, his hands are covered. I'm loving how we've got these like rich, warm tones, and the lighting is really warm and kind of like, I don't want to say spooky, but like almost it's like this enchanting type feeling, right? Like this guy to the left with the ZZ Top beard and the hat. To me, it's reading a lot like taking inspiration from it reminds me of New Orleans. And I guess like if they're going with the Zanzibar influence, like I would pick up on kind of like that like voodoo type feeling here with like the facial coverings, the hats. Like they've really done a lot of homework here into figuring out like this very cohesive look for Tanchico. And this is just going to be really fun. I love like all of the jewelry, the facial coverings, the piercings. This guy in this photo has piercings, which that's interesting because he's not, I mean, our sea folk are typically the ones that would have piercings, but with the docks being in Tanchico, I'm hoping to get kind of a more like, not like pirate, but like more like seafaring in style. And I think maybe that's this guy that we're looking at right here. Maybe he's something like that. All in all, I'm very, very curious. These little booths and the booths in this image, I can't be sure if these are actually like little stalls or if those are actually like boats pulled up to a harbor. Let's look. Mm, are these kind of like, they look like stilted, like shacks, you know? So I think they are built on the water. I have a really good feeling about Tanchico. It has some really, really cool events with Nynaeve and Elaine. I'm curious to think if some of those moments are going to come more at like a little bit earlier than like the very end of the season. Maybe they might try and work Tanchico in as like an episode, like a mid-season type finale where you're there for, I don't know, a handful of episodes and then we returned back to the waste and back to the two rivers for like the big shebang of it all. But I don't know how they're going to pace this season. We've got kind of an idea with what those images from last week were labeled. I did a video on that if you want to check that out. But yeah, like this is really fun. I'm really excited to see this. So, yeah, I mean, this looks really good. I would assume if we're getting the actual trailer soon, we might see that in a couple weeks or something. So that's, it's really exciting. I think I'll leave it here for now. If you enjoyed this video that ran much longer than I wanted it to. Please like, please subscribe. You can find me on Discord. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Instagram. If you would like to help the channel, I have a Patreon account and I also have YouTube memberships open where I do, ad-free videos and full videos and members only videos. So if you would like to check that out, go ahead and do so. I'm Amber. Thanks for watching, and I will see you back next time.